Now it's time for Top of the Stack, where we got DC and Image on this week's Top of the Stack. Welcome to Top of the Stack, our weekly comic review where we bring you what we thought were the best comics this week straight to you in a little segment we call Top of the Stack. This week we got a couple Image and also a DC comic. So first off, you started with
The Mantle, number 4.
Image Comics.
Image.
By Ed Brisson, Brian Level,
Image
and
all
Jordan
around.
Boyd.
Yes.
So let's get into this.
Let's get
The
into
Mantle.
it. All right. So we see our main character, good old Jen. She is at home trying to have a night out with her friends, but her friends just want to talk about Robbie. I think that was his name.
Yeah.
Robbie and how he passed away. And Jen is obviously like, I don't want to talk about this. They have no idea that in her head she's thinking this is my last night to live, so I just want to have fun. So she ends up storming away. She buys some mushrooms. She goes on this nice little trip that you'll have to read the comic to see. It's pretty funny.
She talks to her giant cat.
Yeah. So it flashes to her colleagues, or not sure what you would call the whole group.
Her
protectors.
Yeah.
So, the plague is there, beating them all up, and one of the characters, a little bit something worse happens to him. I'll let you read that to figure out what happened with that. But something really interesting was said in this issue.
What's that?
The plague said, "This has never been about revenge, but mercy." What does that mean?
Well, we do go on to find out about, they do kind of talk about, we already know that the first Mantle was an alcoholic.
Yeah.
And basically did what he did just because he was drunk and stupid. So it kind of is, you know, I guess the mercy, we kind of do got to figure out what that's about.
Yeah, definitely.
But we're finding out that the plague definitely has a reason to be doing what he's doing. But
so then one of the members, her name is Necra, she decides she doesn't want to be a part of this anymore. Maybe he is doing this for a reason, and they're just sacrificing all their time and for no reason. So after Jen goes on this trip, she decides she's going to face the plague. So she goes out to this town in the middle of nowhere, snowy woods area, and she fires up her powers so that the plague will come and get her. The plague comes, and I will leave it at that. We will see what happens next issue. I'll let you read it to get some more of the really in-depth details. All in all, this was a good one, and I think it's really leading up to something that's going to be
epic.
Epic, exactly. That's a good word for it. I mean,
said epic.
Okay, you said epic.
I know, okay.
So, I'm going to give this one a Michael Keaton. I think the next one's probably going to get a higher rating, because I think it's going to be epic. I said epic.
Word of the day? Epic. I as well am giving this not a Michael Keaton. I give this one a Christian Bale. I thought that it really brought the story forward even more. We learned a lot more, which we didn't even talk about in the review. It really brought light to some things, some really fun things with the cat that's going on, and the drugs, and is the plague bad? Is he good? I thought it brought a lot of things to the table. So it is getting a Christian Bale and a Michael Keaton from Geek'd Up. Now, I read The Empty Zone #3 by Jason Sean Alexander. This is also an Image comic. It starts out with our protagonist, Corinne, driving or riding in a car with her, shows her arm hanging out all tore up, trashed, and she's going to get it repaired. Now, this next scene is probably my favorite scene of the week out of anything I read. You meet these crazy, colorful guys that are just straight out of, like, I don't know, Big Trouble in Little China or Blade Runner. So bright, and it was just so bizarre. These Asian guys, they were from House of Choi, they called. They're the mechanics, the surgeons, and they have this little thing where they walk in, they're so happy to see her, and they look over at Hank, and they're like, "You, not so much." And Hank's like, "Oh, come on, that was forever ago." And they go, "It was a month, and it was our mother." And he's like, "Oh, come on, the heart wants what the heart wants." And they're just like, "Fuck you, die." Like, it's just such a good scene, and it's so bright and colorful. Like, we've dealt with this dark world for most of it, and you get here, and they're just like, "Hey, fuck you." You know, it's just, it's really cool. I like it. My favorite scene so far. But then it gets dark again. They put her under to do surgery, and she says, "Well, put Hank under too. I need to talk to him, a little business." So put him under, and they get to talking, and he's like, "Why is it so dark in here? I thought it'd be a dream. It'd be nice with rainbows and unicorns." She's like, "Well, what can I say? I'm not a very imaginative person." So you get a little insight into her mind and where she's at, and she really brought him in there to access something that happened in the alley in the earlier issue. She says she thinks something possibly beamed into her head, and the only way they can access it is through these Choi brothers, going under in their shop and using some of their techniques. So they open up and they find what looks like a recording of something terrible happening. She realizes, no, that's not that. It's actually a memory, and she doesn't know how they're accessing these memories, but it really goes right to the point of her being ambushed and losing her arm. We still don't know why. We want to know why, but she wakes up, goes on this big thing, says she's 8, who is her boss, who hires them to do jobs, is there to, like, get her another job and needs her right now. It's time sensitive, but she books it. She's like, "I can't do it right now," and runs away. And she's really trying to process what's happening. It's we don't really know. We don't get a lot of answers there. It's more visual. You get to kind of see what's going on without really learning exactly what's happening. But she meets some guys in the alley. Some things happen, and then she goes and meets her friend Tim, the bartender. Some more things happen, and then some more things happen. Now, those more things you've got to read, because I don't want to ruin all that stuff, but it is a big book as far as what's happened so far in the story. You're going to get some really good pieces of information. I recommend reading it if you are reading it already. What did you think about it?
I liked it. There was, like, a lot of information, I feel like, in that one. I felt like I should have read it again, though, just to really soak up the info, but it was a good one. Learned quite a bit about her, but all in all, I'll probably give this one Michael Keaton. I should have read it again. It probably would have gotten a Christian Bale otherwise.
I am also giving it a Michael Keaton. I think it did need a little more. You get this really awesome scene at the beginning, and you get some sporadic, weird kind of nonsense. You don't know what's going on, and then you get the last 2-3 pages are wow. But yeah, all in all, that has my favorite scene of the week by far. But it just wasn't quite there for Christian Bale, like you said. So, Empty Zone number 3 by Jason Sean Alexander from Image Comics is getting a Michael Keaton from Geek'd Up.
All right. Now we got some DC going on.
DC! I don't know why I did that.
Okay.
But,
all right. Is it all out of your system now?
Yeah. And what did we read?
Doomed number 3. I forgot to write down who it's by.
So are you saying that you forgot to write down that it's written by Scott Lobdell and art by Javier Fernandez? Mm-hmm. So you forgot that? Mm-hmm. Well, now they know. And did you also forget that Ulysses Areola is the colorist on it? Now they know. So let's get on.
I didn't forget it.
Then what did you do? Not want to do it?
Okay, I did forget it. All right. Anyway, there is some shit goes down in this one. I actually had to reread one of the scenes. I was like, I've got to be reading this wrong. Like, there's something wrong.
Which scene? Well, we'll get into it.
Yeah. So, basically, we flash back to, Roman.
Yes.
Roman. Riser is our main character.
Riser's the main character.
Okay, yeah. So we flash back to Roman, who is Riser's best friend.
Roommate, too.
And roommate. He is on a school trip to a museum where the museum gets ambushed by people trying to steal stuff. And shots were fired, and his girlfriend, looked like a girl to me.
You know, here's the weird thing is it kind of looked, to me it looked like a boy, a man.
Oh, really?
Guy. But they were talking like it's a girl.
Yeah.
So I don't know if that's an art discrepancy or if it's supposed to look like a guy.
Yeah.
And it's the female guy. Mm-hmm. I don't know. But we don't know. But okay. Anyway.
So his
Let
lover...
us know what you think about that scene.
Yeah, really not sure. So his lover gets shot, and he goes to try to find help, but in the meantime, he got shot as well, and he's bleeding out of his leg, and he's like, oh my god, I need to find a tourniquet, and lo and behold, right in front of him is a gold rope that was on display at the museum. So why not tie that around your leg?
Possibly $1 million, $1 billion, once-in-a-lifetime artifact. Why not use that?
Just take it.
I mean, that's what I'd do.
Anyway, so flashback over. We go back to reality, present day. Riser and Roman are walking wee-wee.
Are you skipping that on purpose? What happens?
Yeah, because I'm going to go back to it.
Oh, okay. Just making sure.
Yeah. So they're walking wee-wee, and they're, having these awesome best friend conversations. When this is the scene that I'm like, I'm reading this wrong. I'm reading this wrong. This has to be wrong. So they go their separate ways. Riser is thinking to himself, why is it so hard to tell my best friend that a monster takes over my body whenever it wants? He was the first person I told was gay. Why can't I was gay, so why can't I tell him this? And I was like, Riser's not gay. What is... And I literally read that scene probably 6 times. And then I was like, fuck, Jessica, you're stupid. So...
I thought it looked like a guy.
So, flashback.
So don't tell us in the comments, because we just figured it out.
I felt like it was a girl, though.
Yeah.
I don't know. To me, it looked like a girl. So, anyway, we're going to flash back to when Riser put that gold tourniquet on his leg. What happened when he put the gold tourniquet on his leg?
He became a superhero. Kind of.
And I'm just like, what the fuck?
So now we're dealing with two heroes, possibly anti-hero.
And they both, really want to tell each other, but they don't know how. And that's not even half of what happened in this one. So, okay, all that happens. Now we know that Roman is a superhero of sorts. So anyway, back to Roman. Wee runs away from Roman. Or is taken. From Riser. Why did they name it Roman and Riser?
It's just so Geek'd Up Podcast would have a horrible time trying to pronounce their names.
Yeah, fuck me.
Scott
Anyway.
Lobdell was like, you know what? I'm going to screw with them, and I'm going to make their names how they are. But anyway, Wee Wee had to Wee Wee. And
Actually, I skipped some.
we don't need to go over
Okay. Why not?
because they're going to read it.
Anyway, so Wee Wee has to Wee Wee. And Riser is like, where the hell's Wee Wee? Goes, looks for him. Who do we see? The little kid from the last issue is holding Wee Wee.
And the funny part about it, throughout the issue, Wee Wee will lick every single person except Riser, who is the one taking him on the walks.
Mm-hmm.
And it gets to this villain, and Wee Wee is licking him.
Mm-hmm.
I thought that was hilarious.
Yeah.
And then growling back at Riser. But we don't really want to tell him what goes on from there.
Okay.
Because that's kind of a big deal when you look at this villain versus hero. What happens? Something weird happens.
You guys read it. Seriously, and there's even more that happens after that. And it wasn't even a very long issue.
It was a standard issue.
So much info.
Mm-hmm,
It's a good one.
Yes.
It's a good one, as we like to say here.
We've literally never said that. But, yeah.
Okay, so I'm going to give this one a Christian Bale.
And I am as well. This comic is starting to make its way up the ladder of my favorite comics. Like, I got the first issue thinking, I'm going to try this out.
Yeah.
Really liked it. Second issue, really liked it. This one is, it's like they keep getting better and better and better.
Yep,
They're
I agree.
funny, but they actually have a story, and it's really good. It's really, I even said in the first one, it's Scott Lobdell. I have issues with him. Like, I like half of his stuff, and I don't like half his stuff. And I felt like this was going to be half that I didn't.
Yeah.
And I was completely wrong. I'm so happy I was wrong because I really like it. The art is great. The story is great. It's funny. There's action. There's romance. It's got everything. So, Doom number 3 from DC Comics is getting a Christian Bale from Geek'd Up. And that is it for our top of the stack reviews, but we do have a couple of honorable mentions that we'd like to tell you. The first up on the honorable mentions is Postal number 6 by Matt Hawkins and Brian Hill. Really like this, the whole series. I really like it. This one, Doom to me was so good that it ended up bumping Postal off. But it's still a really good series, and I recommend you reading it. That's why it's on the list. And also, Wolf number 2 by Lesh Kott. We reviewed the last one, the first one where he's a paranormal investigator that has possibly the Antichrist living with him now. That story continues. Really good, but we did have a couple just slightly better ones, and then one really good one that made the top of the stack this week. So I recommend, if any of those interest you, they're definitely, all 5 of those are worth picking up. So go ahead and do it. But that's it for top of the stack this week. Let us know what you thought about each of these comics in the comments below. When you like, comment, and subscribe, we'll get back to each and every one of you. Let us know if you agreed with our reviews, if you thought they were better or worse than what we thought, and we will get back to you. Also, you can find us on Facebook and Twitter, but until next time, stay geeked up and always hug a xenomorph.
Always.